Are you searching for purpose of life? Discover your true identity. Stay tuned to Shalom World.
There are other risks that you see for children and families right now. For that question, is this warranted? Hello and welcome to HopeSpot. I'm your host, Robert Fiducia from Nashville, Tennessee, and HopeSpot is designed to give you hope for living during this global pandemic. Today, our topic is about children's health and well-being during this time of COVID-19. And I have two very special guests with me today. The first is Mr. Patrick Sullivan, a father of 8 with one on the way. He's coming to us from Ontario, Canada, and he is the president of Evango, which is a new evangelization website meant to empower people to share the gospel and the good news. So, Mr. Sullivan, welcome very much to HopeSpot.
Well, thank you, Robert. I'm glad to be here.
And also, we have joining us from Connecticut, we have Dr. Kathleen Berchelmann, and she has a list of credentials a mile long. She is both an academic pediatrician and also a practicing pediatrician, and the founder of mycatholicdoctor.com. Kathleen, welcome. It is good to have you, Dr. Berchelmann.
Thanks for having me.
So the first question that I have, if I could go to you, Dr. Berchelmann, it is about children's well-being in general. Here we are in this time of COVID-19, which is what the show is all about. But even outside of such a stress-filled environment, would you be able to cite some of the things that need to be in place that ensures children's well-being in terms of environment and health? If you could share some of those elements with us, that'd be terrific.
The most important thing for any child anywhere in the world is to know that they're loved. And this plays one-on-one with the concept of attachment. We know that children who are cared for by someone who truly loves them, that they have an attached relationship with, have such healthy development compared to those who don't. And that has spanned the test of many studies and in almost every cultural group. So that's the first and most important thing, is for children to know that they're loved. And as Catholic Christians, we also want them to know that they are loved by God.
Yeah. So, Dr. Berchelmann, I know you are the mom of 7. So in an environment, how do you give individual attention to that many children? Because that 7 is a lot. I'm the father of 4, and even that can be challenging at times. How do you practically live that out?
You know, it's funny you ask, because early on when I had just 2 or 3 children, I asked the same question of so many people. And I think there's not one right answer to this question, and that different families figure it out in different ways. But for me personally, I make sure that I spend a small amount of one-on-one time with each child each day. And that includes greeting them every morning and kissing them goodnight every night. And then trying throughout the day to make sure that I've greeted them. And also when I leave for work and when I return home from work, I make sure I say goodbye to each one and that I greet each one. And then family meals. We eat, especially right now, we're eating 3 family meals together every day. And I try to make sure I speak with each one of them at each meal.
So, going over to you, Mr. Sullivan, you have 8 and you have 1 on the way. Give us a little glimpse into your life, particularly during the COVID-19 time. I think what Dr. Berchelmann had said is fantastic, having the 3 meals a day together. And I know other studies have shown exactly that the most successful children, that common meals together is a big part of that. Is that something that's part of your practice, or other things that you're seeing that creates for a good environment for you and for your family?
Well, absolutely. Love is paramount in how we live a family life. And if we can, I think we should also hone in on one form of love that really comes to the fore, especially with our children, and that is the word affection. Affection basically is the understanding, the acceptance that others are glad that I'm here. And that is something we can all do in short little bursts. And that's what the doctor's talking about right now. In the morning, in the evening, throughout the day, those little glances of the eye, a couple words here and there, a blessing before they go to bed. Mom and Dad, we're going to work now, but I'm so glad you are in my life. And I'm so glad, and this can still be happening right now as we're all kind of thrust together. I'm so glad I get to spend just a little bit more time with you. How wonderful is that? So we try, just like the doctor said, to do those very same things. Mealtime is so important, especially for we Catholics who celebrate the great feast of our Lord. This is where it's supposed to be cultivated and nurtured, so that when we go to the table of the Lord, the kids understand it. I'm loved and I'm wanted here. And I love what Doctor said about, those little, how did your day go? Look at one face in particular. Wait, everyone listen, little Abigail's about to speak. Wait, stop everyone, Caleb's about to say something. Now, Abigail is very, very small and is just getting her first words out, but she already intuits that they're glad that I'm here. And there's so much more we could talk about, of course, but the doctor nailed it. So we just stop right there.
All right. So this is what I'm hearing from different families. There are some that I'm hearing from whom I'm hearing that they say that this is the closest that they have ever been as a family. And I can certainly see why that would be the case. Others are saying this is the most stressful time that they have ever gone through as a family. So both of you have described warm, nurturing, loving, and I like the word affectionate environments. How are you seeing from your perspectives this time of pandemic threatening the well-being, threatening the environment that young people are growing up in? And Dr. or Mr. Sullivan, I'll begin with you again for this question.
I think what's really happening right now for families in particular is it's taking what's already there, what's already being lived out, and it's upping it 10, 15, 20%. So if families were not connecting before, they don't know each other before this, and they didn't want to know each other before this, that's going to worsen. On the other hand, we can imagine many families who, maybe because of life circumstances or work environments, they haven't been able to get together, but they've wanted to. Now this is bringing out that great virtue that can grow in us. It's enabling them to have greater and more nurturing environments. So as far as I'm concerned, what I'm seeing a lot of the time is basically what's already there is blossoming or rottening quite quickly. And I know we're going to possibly talk to a little bit of stats or things that are happening around the world. We're seeing both the negative effects of that and the positive. So I think there is hope. This is all about hope. I think wherever your viewers are at right now in their homes, if they're saying, I'm feeling really rotten right now, well, hold on. Let's take a step back and say, what can I do? Those little things to turn that into more of a nurturing environment. What are those little words of affection? What are those little words of action? Those little glances? What can we do to lessen the stress and up the love? So, and I'm sure Doctor can talk more about that as well.
So, Dr. Berchelmann, coming out from that, we saw Patrick really describing sunlight, that what is already in our families, this time is just exposing it. If they're healthy dynamics, that's going to come out. If they're dysfunctional dynamics, that's going to come out. Do you agree with that? Or are there other risks that you see for children and families right now?
I completely agree that it's the best of times and the worst of times. And every family, no matter how faithful, how great they look on the outside, is going to have their hardships exposed right now. And I think the Lord's allowing this. And so you can lean into that and grow together as a family, or you can resist it. And the answer is clear, right? It's time to make our pathway straight and grow together through these challenges. My suggestion for families is that you write your house rules, your list of house rules, and talk about them again and again, and write them down and post them around your house, preferably in the bathroom in front of the toilet. And the goal here is for everyone to be on the same page about your house rules. And we're the Berchelmann family, and our house rules are called the Berchelmann 10 Commandments. The first Berchelmann 10 Commandment is attitude is a choice. And the other thing that you really need is a schedule. And hopefully that schedule includes family meals and family prayer time. And it's so hard to stick to these things, to the house rules and to the schedule. And so that's where you and your spouse need to be on the same page about it before you start presenting the schedule and the rules to the children.
All right. So speaking about rules and boundaries, because that's really what you're describing, is there are these boundaries that we have, but they're freeing boundaries. So a big issue with young people, regardless of COVID-19. It has to do with screen time. And so I know that a lot of times it's just so easy to put a screen in front of a young person. So how are you balancing that? And are there any concerns that you see regarding screen time?
Well, I think every child's screen time all across the entire world just went way up because parents are being asked to do more. And a screen, first of all, is not all bad. There,
Hmm.
oftentimes, it is the safest option to keep a toddler that's otherwise unsupervised safe, a 1, 2, 3-year-old. But you have to use it in limited quantities. But you give yourself a break. If you're working full time from home and lost your daycare provider, this isn't all bad, but you do need to put filters on your router and institute appropriate parental controls so that the content they're getting is monitored.
So, Patrick, does that ring true for you? Are those some of the things that you've done as well? And how do you handle screen time?
Well, absolutely. And I like the last point. Parents right now are not giving themselves the space to take a break. If mom and dad's mental health is not going well, that's not going to affect the children well. So if you have the right things in place, the screen is safe, you know the types of shows they're watching, the provider, all those sorts of things, then first of all, get a break from mom and dad. You're doing double duty right now. Or maybe even triple duty. You're trying to work, you're trying to teach them, and you're trying to parent, which is very different depending if you're at play or at work. So if you need to have the safe option, get the screen in front of them, make sure you know what it is, the provider who brings it forward, and then take those 5, 10 minutes or longer to decompress. So I agree 100%. The screen is not evil. Technology is not evil. It's a medium that we can use, help spread the gospel. And many of us are, and that's a wonderful thing. What we're talking about here is once the screen becomes the screen steps in as parent for the child, now we have an issue. Now we have to start questioning, am I using it too often? Do I have the schedule, the structure set up so that I can still do what I need to do so that things are limited and in right proportion? That's a very different issue.
Well, this is a question that I'm hesitant to bring up, but I would be remiss if I didn't. And there are two reports that I want to point to. The first was something I was reading in BBC. And what the report was is that supermarkets in the UK are training their workers to be aware of signs of abuse. So supermarket workers being aware of that. And then also in Australia, ABC is reporting that $150 million have been designated to counseling in these situations of domestic abuse and violence. So, first to you, Patrick, is this warranted? Is this something that such an environment could bring out situations of abuse?
Well, it certainly can, and I'm sure it does. This is a high pressure situation for a lot of parents. There's been a lot of job losses around the world. And for even those who haven't, they're now trying to work and parent and teach all at the same time. And as we mentioned briefly, there's a lot of people who have not built in the structure into their day, those breaks that we all need
Mhm.
to kind of reset and refocus. So, that being what it is, I think we have to admit that there is going to be, with that sunlight, revealing some stuff that we would rather not be there. So I think we need to make sure we're all on the same page here. Abuse under any form shouldn't be tolerated. We don't want that for kids. We need to advocate for children. And absolutely, I expect the need for counseling to go up. I think to think
Mm.
otherwise is kind of would be naive. My concern, I guess, would be if I'm taking my son or daughter or a whole bunch of us to the grocery store, do I want to be seen as a potential abuser? I'm just asking where is the cheese or where's the broccoli? I personally, and this is something we can discuss, I'm wondering about that line there. Should they be the ones
Mhm.
on the lookout for such things? I'm not sure.
Mm. Dr. Berchelmann, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think the most important thing is that people have really solid healthcare providers and faithful healthcare providers. And
Mm.
that's why we founded My Catholic Doctor. The mission
Mm.
of My Catholic Doctor is to make Catholic healthcare accessible to everyone. And what we are is a group of very faithful healthcare professionals providing mental health and physical health services, and we do it consistent with the teachings of the Catholic Church and starting with the call of Jesus Christ to heal the sick and proclaim the kingdom. Reminding people, as Jesus says so many times, be not afraid, and that you're not alone, that Christ is with you, and so are we. And it's with that reassurance that you really can face the challenges of COVID-19 and parenting and working through all of this. And so you can put $150 million towards counseling, but I wonder if it's really money well spent if those primary truths aren't conveyed. So my message is yes, seek healthcare. There are very highly qualified, experienced people that can help you deal with the stresses that may be leading to an unhealthy home environment. And get the help you need, but get it from the right professionals.
Terrific. So getting that kind of help, I also want to mention, talking about abuse, we have to talk about that, but also people who are in more marginal situations. And what I mean by that is I take myself as an example. I have a separate office where I can go in and work. My kids, they have their spaces, but not all spaces are like that. I have a wife who is here with me, but there may be single parents out there who are really, really struggling in these kind of marginal situations. So to both of you, and I'll begin with you, Dr. Berchelmann, what can someone do? What are some practical steps that someone can take who's in a situation to where they may feel they are alone and it is just them and their children against the world?
So first, pray and
Mm.
trust. So I love the surrender novena. It's so hard to pray, but you need to do it. So, Saint Faustina says that Jesus Christ told her that those who trust deeply in the Lord, he's able to give so many more graces to. So when you're feeling overwhelmed, the first place to start is with prayer. And then really look at what you need as support. Only you can define the support you need. Do you need childcare? Do you need meal assistance? Do you need technology assistance? And then have the humility to ask for it. Lots of times the help you need, there's a solution around the corner. Literally, there's somebody that is able to bring you meals. There's all kinds of associations doing that, but are you really asking for it? You don't have to be somebody that is, below some external authority's determination of a poverty line to ask for help with meals. Maybe the problem is you don't have time to shop and cook because you're a single parent of 3 kids, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm. And to that point, I have seen that there is great generosity out there right now. People really waiting and wanting to help people who are in these marginal situations that we're talking about. So, Mr. Sullivan, if you would, what would you say to those who are in some of these marginal situations, perhaps a single parent right now?
There's a lot happening. We can rely on each other. We have a strong marriage. We have the faith. I think for a lot of people, maybe this will help. Jumping off that idea of house rules is to basically say, okay, as a family unit, we're the Sullivan family. What mission are we called to right now? And you can bring this to little children. Teenagers need a mission. They love having mission. This is what mom and dad need to do, or just mom or just dad. We need to do as a unit right now to get through this time. And bringing your kids on board with that can make all the difference. It could be something as simple as saying to your little ones, okay, our mission right now is to try to get 1 hour. That's a long time for little kids, 1 hour of reading time so that we just have peace in our house. Just bring down the noise of that's our mission. Okay, kids, let's do that. And I kid you not, when you have a loud and stressful day, that time, even if it's only 10 minutes, even if it's only 5 minutes, that can bring everything down. And it's going to open up something in you too, as mother or father, seeing the effort your kids will go to for the sake of the mission and for the sake of you because they love you. So remember, your greatest resource is right there in your home. It's your kids with you. They love you. They're with you. And yes, back to those house rules.
Patrick Sullivan of Evango. Please go to his website. There are all kinds of resources for the family. If you're just getting a taste of what he can offer, go there and you can find many more resources to help you. And then also Dr. Kathleen Berchelmann of My Catholic Doctor, where her mission is to spread Catholic healthcare around the world and make that accessible. Dr. Berchelmann, I am so appreciative of your time and blessings on your apostolate to the both of you. Thank you for joining us, and may God bless everything that you're doing.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for joining us here at Hope Spot. We pray that this is a blessing to you as we are all trying to cope with this pandemic. Peace and blessings to you. We'll be with you next time.
To all of the viewers of Shalom TV throughout the world, I want to encourage you not only to support this amazing media apostolate, but to spread the word to others. We all know how the internet and mass media are polluting the world with the poison of pornography and so much other forms of materialism. This is the source of eternal life, the gospel, and Shalom TV is consecrated to spreading the word of Christ. Thank you.